Okay.
Or a minifield just for the beginning of Act 2.
Right. They are all in an uproar. There's more discussion about this. Okay.
We have our Melkor or Sauron, whoever.
Right.
Stand in.
Right. Whoever's there.
Cloaked villain.
Who is not
Okay. I'm seeing the problem here because now we're swaying into we're pretty much going right from there to the battle. The conversations, the two different councils here are going to be kind of key. Okay. The battle, the first part of the battle is scary and terrifying. That's our act. That's the end of our Act 2. The lull is the break between Act 2 and Act 3. Because Act 3 is way more intense and way more scary. The battle, when the battle almost comes up over the ridge, that's the part where they start where like even Ingwe's like, okay, this is probably all going to be okay, but let's not be stupid. Well, you figure the battle is like the second half of episode 13 almost.
Yeah.
So, the battle's about 10 to 100 years long.
Yeah. So this goes on for a while. The battle on the edge the battle near them shouldn't last that long.
That is going to take at least a couple of minutes to sell properly then, because like communicate. I mean, this is a voiceover thing that we were going to do pretty much anyway. But like communicating, like we thought the world was going to end, and it took a very, very long time to end. If it was going to end at all, right? Like it wasn't just there's wind and there's lightning and earthquakes. No, like there was literal years.
So maybe by this point, most of them are living in holes in the ground at this point, like bomb shelters. Like the Noldor are carved out like little caves to show the passage of time there.
Well, because we're going to show the elves fleeing to the island during the battle,
right? Like
during the tail end of the battle. That's what I'm saying. Like during the battle where it almost spills into their little world, right? That's when they evacuate to the island because it's Ingwe's idea. All right, Ingwe this whole time has been like, it's going to be okay. I believe that we're going to get through this.
Right.
Nobody's died yet.
Food supplies are they kind of under siege? No. Like,
well, I would say that it might be affecting it a little bit, but they don't really need like the constant supply of food that we do.
They need food, but it's the entire east is open to them and not.
Yeah.
Right. So they're not. But right. They might feel like they are because they're afraid to go out. It's all about fear.
Right.
I think
I agree.
Should not really be safe anymore because you never know when an earthquake is going to shake you right out of your flat. So like basically the Teleri have to, or are they on the shores? I can't remember who's on the shores.
Yeah, they're on the shores. Well, they might have like a little houseboat city that they live in.
Yeah, it's the Noldor.
But we can show that the Noldor have now like carved out holes in the ground that people are pretty much living in at this point. By the time the battle ends,
right?
So this could be a pretty extensive sequence where we see this.
It's not happen. A short thing at all. Like the whole of the battle stuff is probably going to occupy between 15 and 30 minutes. Maybe not 30 minutes. Probably closer to 15.
If we show the passage of time properly, it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
All right, and then followed by, then it stops, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then and they come out of their holes and everything looks like it's going to be great.
Yeah.
And then it's right there. It's right on the other side of the hill. It's right on the other side of that ridge. And Ingrid says, that's when Ingrid's like, okay, we need to like come on over. Come to the island. Let's go. Come on, everybody come on over.
I think I don't like that the battle stops and then all of a sudden dangerous right on.
Good night, Karita. Sorry.
I think. Good night, Karita. Thanks for coming. I think it should be kind of a creeping thing where they're like, the battle began remote, and it was, and it was bad enough as it was, but
the battle
you
that
could
takes
see
place near them
progress being made.
is a very different kind of battle. It's
Yeah,
not the elemental. Like the elemental battle tapers off.
Like fires and such started creeping toward us. Like every day there was a new fire in the forest, and it got closer and closer. And then you could
that stuff's really far. The main battle takes place really far from that.
Yeah. Okay. But I'm saying like when
it spills over,
Orme is sent to defend them.
Like Melkor has lost the battle. Melkor has lost the main battle when he sends Gothmog and army to destroy the children.
Okay, yeah, then that works. Yeah, that's right. You're right.
Okay,
you're fine.
So the battle, it seems to end.
Yeah.
Okay, and it gives us a break.
Okay.
The end of the battle, the battle for Quaven, all right, that's going to be much closer and much more threatening and much more immediate.
Because it's right there.
Yeah. So they evacuate to the island. All right. This is our Act 3. There's going to be a lot of running. There's going to be a lot of screaming. There's going to be a lot of motion. All right. We're going to see fire coming in over the edge of the ridge.
Right.
We're going to see birds and animals fleeing from that area. We could even see like a stampede of animals like bison or something.
I mean,
should there be
a discussion about abandoning Cuiviénen altogether?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they have.
Obviously they don't, but that should come up.
It's right there. We need to get out. And what I assume the Vanyar are like, no, we're not leaving.
Right.
Well, I think the Vanyar are gonna say something to the effect of, "There's no time. Where are you gonna go? Really?
Where do you want to run to?" Some of us
might come over the island. The fire can't get to the island.
And the Noldor perspective is, I don't have to outrun the bear. I just have to outrun you.
Right.
Yeah.
That seems like
so they get there and they're holed up there and the battle stops. We can even have it start to rain as a symbol of everything's going to be okay now.
Yeah.
Because that's
rainbow. There could be a rainbow symbolizing the color.
There's no sun though.
God is man.
Yeah, there's no sun, so no rain, no rainbow.
Sorry, I'm vetoing the Noah story right there.
It could be just a starlight rainbow.
A starbow? There actually are starbows. That's the thing.
Bam, starbows. Get on.
You need to have a waterfall, but yes, you can do that.
Yeah.
Or moonbow. Sorry, moonbow.
Any light will do it.
A full moon and a waterfall, you can get a moonbow.
That's true. Yes, you can do that. So,
yeah,
the battle, the battle comes to an end. Maybe we just see them cheering and they have a party that night. So we have some passage of time, so it's not weird that Orwell shows up immediately.
I don't know that they need to have
I totally believe he can do that, but I can understand.
No, you're right. Like there needs to be some segue. Like if nothing else, Orome needs to wait for the right time. Like he's like, well, I can't just go crashing through the woods again, right?
That worked out awesomely last time.
Yeah. But I don't necessarily know that a celebration is the right, because a celebration suggests that they're like, oh, everything's fine. We're alive and everything's great. And I feel like
everything is fine for the first time in years.
Right, but I think their response to that is confusion. Like I don't think that they're immediately like, oh, the immediate danger has passed and everything is wonderful. Like everybody's like, well, that was very for them. It's very anticlimactic, right? Because they didn't
do anything to stop it.
Yeah, they didn't see.
It's not like they won the battle. They weren't even fighting.
Okay, so then how do you? What I'm saying is, like, it gives us an opportunity for there to be a passage of time from the time that everything ends.
Like, I think we should kind of.
Like they can be. This celebration can take place days later. Like days.
I'm thinking like later in the year, actually.
Right. You could that could happen. And but maybe they've never left the island.
Take that angle, then
actually, no. If it's too long, then they're gonna have to have left the island at some point. Yeah. Unless we think that this little island can support all of them. Like I think that if we go too far, it removes the dramatic.
Putting all the elves on the island is a temporary measure. So
So this is the way that I would work it. Like the last sort of scary noises in the forest kind of end, and they kind of, it gets real quiet for like a really long time, and then they have to have another discussion, like, whoa, so what does this mean now? Like, what?
The rain puts out the fire.
Yeah, the rain puts out the fire, and it just gets real quiet, and they're just like, this seems good. Should we go back to the way things were? I mean,
right. Is it over? Should be one of the questions we have, because
and
they've had a long time of things.
Satisfactory answer, right? There is nobody comes up with, the Vanyar are more hopeful, the Noldor are more practical.
The Vanyar are like, okay, thanks everybody for coming. All right, everything's fine now. Bye.
We're gonna go back to the houseboats. And
I would say the houseboats are pretty much gone by now.
There's no good resolution to the question, right? And then maybe you're right. They could have sort of a decision feast where they're like, okay, we think everything's gonna be fine. Let's kind of celebrate that we're not all dead, and this is sort of signifying that we're gonna go back to the way things were, and then it's interrupted by that, because that works the best for me in terms of like themes. It's like they were gonna go back to what they were supposed to go back to, and then it gets interrupted. That kind of seems like the highest stakes, right?
Yeah.
That they were just on the verge of becoming the elves they were supposed to be, and then the Valar came in and screwed it all up.
Right.
That's how it works for me best, anyway.
To get a party started when there's no like clear thing to be celebrating, it can be more of the return to the way things were, like people saying, "Oh, I want to do this again," or "We can do this now," and it turns into everybody getting everything together for what they always used to do.
Yeah,
and having a party.
So it's while there's still before the non-Vanyar leave the island, they decide to like have a celebration together.
Yeah. So it's the trying to return to normal party, not the celebrate your victory.
We repaired and made enough boats to kind of send everybody back across the river.
Yeah. Well, yes, I know parties are always interrupted by bad news, but we've now subverted that once or twice also. Specifically because that's a clear happening over and over and over thing, and because it will make this more ominous when it happens.
Yeah.
When there's this weird singing across the water and everybody goes silent, and then the camera goes up on RMA with the swelling of music in the background and all that.
So then we have the whole debate of whether or not Ingwe goes and who goes with him. All. Will it just be the three ambassadors who go, or do other elves come too in the boat to go across?
I feel like they're the most vocal of their factions, of their respective factions.
But I mean, who actually?
I think not. I think the Vanyar in particular are not going to be content to just sit and watch.
Yeah.
Ingwe
so
go.
Maybe additional. So maybe it's
like
Ingwe.
He's the first boat, but there's other boats that follow.
He's the first boat, and his buddies are with him in the boat. But and it doesn't have to be only the Vanyar. It could be kind of a bunch of people. And the obviously all of the Avari are like, no, we will wait here, and you can come back if you come back to tell us what's going on.
Okay.
Anvarno has a good idea that during this. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Brian. Anvarno has a good idea where he says, "Can we have them make the decision to spread out away from Queven and to spread out and populate the world so they're not all eggs in one basket?" Then Orome, so later the Avari are wanting to continue with the diaspora plan. I agree. I think that would be a good.
I think that they can have that plan, but I don't know that they should be starting to do it yet.
No. I think what he's saying is that that's the plan.
Yeah.
Of what they're going to do when they leave the island.
What we're doing tomorrow.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly what I was saying. Is that
they
need to be deciding to go back to the elvishness that they were supposed to do.
Right. So we get the. Do we have them exchange any words with Orome at all?
No,
yes.
I don't think so.
Yes.
I think we're good watching them.
Why do we have to? What would you have them? What would you have them?
Because they've
say?
made their big decision, and that's our.
They've made their decision, but
for next week.
The last time we saw them meet Orme, they ran away, and no one said anything.
Yeah.
Right. So to show that this is going to end differently, yes, they've made their decision. They've gotten in boats. They're going across. They're going to meet him, but they have to talk.
Even if it's just a greeting.
That's the hook for next.
We at least have to show a greeting.
If they just speak a greeting that we maybe an Elvish greeting that we've heard a few times now.
But I thought we were going to have Orome hang out with them for a bit afterwards. I thought we were going to show the whole meeting, and he was going to like go hang out with the elves and meet and.
I feel like that's what I'm worried about. Those I feel like that's going to drag the tail end of this.
I think that's I think that's an episode 2 thing, because we know what their decision is, and it is a hopeful decision, which is the opposite of the reaction that they already had. Like we're gesturing at we're hinting that this is different from last time based on the decision that they made.
Right. What I would suggest is that we have in the beginning of episode 2, we have the debate,
the discussion
about the debate between the Valar what to do.
Right.
And then we cut from there to Orome
meeting the elves for the first time.
Well, not necessarily meeting the elves for the first time, but at least being among them.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I'm fine with that as long as we show it at some point. I was trying to figure out where.
I agree. I totally agree.
No, we're not. There's too much good TV there. We're not getting rid of that.
Yeah.
I just feel like we should actually see them meet, not just leave off with them still in boats on their way. Because the whole point of the debate was this could be really dangerous. We could all die here, and the audience is going to suspect that they're not going to all die. But we should see.
Like I wouldn't open with Nick's idea of the debate between the Valar. I would cut to that after we get the face-to-face meeting, because it's the hook. It is the bridge.
What I'm saying is that we get the words between. Well, here's the thing. I don't want to go from the frame to the meeting between I went out of camera. I don't want to go from the frame to the meeting between Orome and the elves to the Valar, and then go back to the Valar. I would much rather go from the frame, go back to the Valar, and then go forward because there's less jumping. It's less confusing time-wise. Okay, because then it's easier to understand this has happened before what's happening now. Because we can even kind of go into it as if it's something that Orome is remembering. As if the discussion is something that he's remembering as he's moving amongst the elves.
We can worry about how to introduce the Valar next time.
Yeah,
but
what I'm saying is that we can. But I would really like to have at least some exchange of communication, because that's what separates the Quendi from everybody else, is the ability to communicate up until this point. If we have Orome say something to them, if they say something to Orome, he says something back. Now they are no longer the only people that speak with words.
Yeah.
The first time ever.
I want to see that at the end of episode 1.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be more than the greeting, but I want to see it.
When that happens, we can see the other boats coming across the water behind them. So these three get out of the boats.
Right.
They exchange a greeting, and we see the other boats coming up from the
okay, that works
from
fine.
the island. Okay,
that works fine. I don't think that's
back to the frame.
So we go back to the frame. How do we wrap this up? He doesn't know their language yet, though.
Yes,
he could join the singing, though he is a Valar. He could pick up their language pretty quick.
He knows.
All that has to happen is they say something,
and then he returns.
He says it back.
He knows their language. He's a god. There's no. We're not.
You can read their mind. Very easy.
Yeah.
I'm not screwing around with that at all. Like that. Like him trying to.
He is a universal translator. It's fun.
Yeah. No, we're not doing that.
So, okay. So what do we do in the frame to wrap this up? Because we're not really resolving the issue of do I stay or do I go?
No,
I'd almost rather end the episode with that shot of looking at the lake with the boats coming. So if we want to insert the frame before that to kind of,
I'm okay with not going back to the frame here.
Well, I think we do need to have another scene of frame, but I would kind of almost rather do it with regards to the like.
Well, we have an injection. We have an injection of the frame during. We have an injection of the frame during the War of the Powers. During the war to begin all wars, we have an injection of the frame because we get voice. Yeah, but that's what I mean. We get voice. That's an injection of the frame. That's reminding us of the frame.
Right.
So we need an injection of that. We need to get Arwen resolving her issue that she was going to resolve. I forgot what the final.
I would actually put the frame here in the debate.
I think,
like, I would interject the frame between the debate between Elwë and Ingwe about going across the, because that's kind of the moment that I think best represents Arwen's sort of conflict, where Ingwe is, you know, the guy who wants to go west, and Elwë is the guy who wants to stay and be safe and do what they're supposed to do, basically. Like, it's a very very complex and fun, interesting setup, because we're kind of rooting for Ingwe, right? We're rooting for Hope and to meet the Valar and to have the characters that we already know meet the other characters that we know.
Yeah.
But the correct thing to do is to be skeptical and not go overboard with that sentiment, right? So
I think.
Go ahead.
Well, here's the problem. If we go back to the frame, we want to resolve what's going on there to a degree at least. And if we do that, and then we go back into the storyline, it's like we get a resolution, but it's not really a resolution because we haven't resolved what we were just talking about.
It's a step
if we
on
go
the road.
back, here's what I would recommend, and I think Marie's kind of going in this direction also. And you can stop me if you're not. We end our main story on the shore. Okay, we go back into the frame, and really all we need to get here, is the communication of the idea that yes, the shadow has always been there. It's probably always going to be there.
Yeah.
What we can't do is let the shadow define us.
Right.
What defines us is how we deal with the shadow.
Right.
And what kind of person, what kind of response we're going to have.
Right.
Right. That's the key. That's the key that Celeborn is trying to. That's why we've gone into this.
And I think that's Ingwe's angle too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that even though what he decides to do is not necessarily what Arwen is going to decide to do, it's still a valuable lesson, right? That's the ideal for me, is that everybody's kind of right. You know what I mean? Like, Ingwe's impulse is a good impulse, and it's not, even though it goes against what the elves were sort of made for, it's still a positive, hopeful impulse that is an important part of the culture, right?
Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it's more complicated than that. Maybe some of the elves were meant to commune with the Valar.
Well, they were supposed to relate to the Valar.
I was about to say.
Right.
But the Vanyar seem to have found their home in Valinor, and that's like the rebellion of the Noldor is an issue. The Noldor obviously shouldn't stay there.
Right.
I think
that's
whereas
the
Vanyar,
cage of keeping them
like
there.
nothing seems to go wrong with the Vanyar being.
To me, well, nothing seems to go wrong, but I don't necessarily know that means
and you
that
gotta
everything
look
was
from
correct.
the larger perspective that
Like,
everything that
the
happens
whole impulse
at any point happens because it's part of the music.
right? I think that the elves were supposed to be in community with the Valar. The problem is that the Valar restricted themselves to one small place, right? So I don't agree necessarily that it was the right quote unquote right 100% all good thing for the Vanyar to go to Valinor and stay there. I think that the problem is
we know that
there
even
was a Valinor
the things that are the wrong decisions,
right,
are all part of the plan anyway. So saying that this is what was supposed to happen, this is what it's all the way it was supposed to happen.
Well, but that's a oversimplification of what plan means, right? It's not destiny in that sort of pre-written providential way. And that's why I think Lord of the Rings is so interesting, is specifically because it's, just because it was in the music doesn't mean that it had to be that way per se, right?
Tell that to Melkor.
Yeah, but Melkor's wrong.
Well,
Melkor's wrong for.
And there's some big picture stuff there that applies to the elves even more than.
Yeah, we still need to I feel like we've got the crux of it down, but what where.
I wanted her to start the episode kind of sad, kind of not necessarily in mourning, but more grief and sorrow than anything else. And that Celeborn is talking to her to try to help her pull out of that a little bit, or to, So by the end of the episode, I want her to kind of have a little bit more of
more Estelle.
Wrestling with questions attitude. No, not necessarily yet.
Because
it's going to take her. It's going to take her 13 episodes. Yeah. But I didn't want her to be resolving anything. Like, yes, I know what to do. So much as, okay, I now have the strength to consider this.
She needs to make a decision how she wants to respond to the shadow, rather than letting the shadow itself control the direction of her life.
Right. But all she's decided at this point is that she's going to
she's
react.
aware that
there's been no
doesn't to go make it.
Yeah.
Right.
The shadow itself doesn't have power over her choices.
So and therefore it'll set up the right. And that's all I want, is that she was gone from.
I think
grieving.
Example is a good one for her to look to in that situation, even though when it comes down to it, she's not going to make the same choice that he made. Yeah.
Right, and the parallels there are in the self-determination and the overarching big picture trust stuff, which is what we want to draw.
Is there anything else that we need to go over real quick before we put this? It's funny. The first episode 1 of the first season was a thorny one too. So
4.5 hours.
I think it's going to be that way. Setting, because you have to talk about so much general stuff before you get to the specifics of what the episode is going to be. So.
I do have one question on timing. I know we lost Karita already, but obviously we were all able to be here tonight.
This is okay.
But I don't know if it's a good time for everybody. Looking at a couple people who aren't
today and on down like that, it would be that's kind of optimal for me, because it gives me a window of time in between the time I'm supposed to leave work and the time I'm supposed to be here. And if I do it the alternate week, it means that I have maximum a half an hour in between. And if I get tied up, now I'm stuck.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
No, every 2 weeks makes sense, so I'm fine with that.
I will be here on time.
It was more of the
I don't think
earlier or later better for people.
It is better for us in Varno, I imagine. But
right, I'm guessing not, unless it was early enough to be the night before. Like if we did this at 10 a.m. and it was 10 p.m. on Saturday.
We're good.
No,
I'll be here on time next time. Like mostly, my social life has gotten more complicated over the last couple of weekends, so I went to bed later than I should have last night, and I didn't need to. It was my fault completely.
As in having one?
What?
Having a social life is vastly more
Oh yes,
complicated
no,
than
no.
not.
Having a social life is important, especially when you've lived here for 2 years and basically your social circle is one person. That's
I know the feeling.
not sustainable. So
Yes, I recall quite vividly.
yeah. So but I'll be here on time next time for sure.
Okay. All right.
And you did fine without me anyway, as you always do.
All right. Sorry,
Alrighty, so
I tried.
yeah, that looks like it. This has been the SilmFilm script discussion, season 2, episode 1. It's been a ride. It's been fantastic. We got a lot done. We soldiered through. We got it done, and yeah, it looks like we're going to be repeating in 2 weeks. We'll see you guys then. Have a wonderful night.